I think a lot of well, let's start with the United States, and I think what we see in the United States is sort of a very typical late cycle environment where there was a fair amount of monetary easing. It helped slow the economy, um, gradually slow the economy, and over time start to erode some of the inflationary pressures, and that is uh, then creating the opening or the transition to easing that we've been seeing. I think the challenge that exists there is it's then been combined. If it wasn't for the negative growth policies out of the new administration, um, it would be a pretty boring year, to be honest. And instead, it's been quite an interesting year because you have the new administration coming in basically with two big negative growth policies, which is tariffs and constraining immigration. And those policies have created a drag on growth where, absent the AI boom, particularly in the first half of the year, we would be having a even more meaningful economic slowdown. And so I think you sort of look at that picture, and it's not a particularly strong growth picture ahead. Just and it's one that has inflation that remains a bit elevated, and that's not necessarily a great macro setup. Nonetheless, asset prices continue to rise on the hopes that both the tariffs somehow will be transitory, as well as the negative growth effects of the immigration will not have a meaningful effect on the economy. And then when you sort of step out of the United States, you basically have the same similar sorts of dynamics happening, but just in different orders. So if you go to a place like the UK, you have a late cycle environment that has been met with tightening as well, but a slightly larger inflation problem, which has delayed the easing. And then if you go to, say, a place like Canada, kind of on the other end of the spectrum, you've had much more economic weakening and a central bank that's had to respond pretty aggressively in order to meet the needs there in terms of the overall growth slowdown. And so we're kind of all in this late cycle environment, jockeying for different positions in a broad-based easing, but one that has yet to really fully turn these developed world economies to be sustainably expanding.